What if I told you that our reality isn't real? It sounds like the start of a corny science fiction movie, but scientists and philosophers have been debating the simulation hypothesis for a while. Basically, this idea says that our world is actually a really complex computer program running on an unknown system. While some might think this hypothesis is crazy, recent discoveries about the behavior of our universe suggest there could be some truth to it. From strange coincidences to the eerie behavior of subatomic particles, scientists are discovering potential glitches in our reality. So what exactly is happening? Is our universe glitching, or are we simply not understanding it correctly? Join me as we delve into the fascinating world of quantum physics and explore the possibility that our universe is just a big simulation. But before we get started, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this one. Have you ever experienced something so bizarre that you question the very fabric of your reality? Mandela effects, where a large group of people share a false memory of a past event, can be unsettling. Take, for example, the belief that Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s, despite the fact that he was actually released in 1990 and lived until 2013, or the time in the early 2000s, when many people were convinced that the evil Kenneville had a twin brother named Ken. Despite these memories, there's no evidence that such a person ever existed. These shared false memories are not just a quirky aspect of human nature. They can provide clues to the nature of our reality. Some experts suggest that Mandela effects may indicate that our memories are unreliable and that our perception of reality is not as solid as we believe. Instead, they could be glitches in the matrix, suggesting that we're living in a simulation where our memories are not accurately recorded. This idea aligns with the simulation hypothesis proposed by philosopher Nick Bostrom, who suggests that our world is a highly advanced computer simulation created by a more technologically superior civilization. If our reality is simulated, then glitches like Mandela effects could occur due to errors in the programming or changes made to the simulation over time. However, there's also the possibility that these glitches are caused by something else entirely. Perhaps they are evidence of multiple simulations existing simultaneously, and our consciousness is able to tap into them. Whatever the explanation, Mandela effects and other glitches serve as a reminder that our perception of reality is not always accurate, and that there may be more to our existence than meets the eye. The vastness of space is truly mind-boggling. With billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars, it seems almost impossible that we would find ourselves alone in this universe. Yet, that's exactly what makes the Fermi paradox so perplexing. Named after physicist Enrico Fermi, the paradox highlights the contradiction between the high probability of extraterrestrial life and the fact that we have unfound any yet. If the universe is so big, and there are so many planets out there, why haven't we found any signs of life yet? One possible explanation for this paradox is the Great Filter. This theory suggests that there is some sort of barrier that prevents species from becoming like us or further in their development. Perhaps there's a natural limit to how advanced a species can become, or maybe there's a danger out there that prevents civilizations from reaching our level of technology. In the context of the simulation hypothesis, the Great Filter could be seen as a form of censorship. If the creators of our simulation want to hide the fact that we're being watched, they would need to prevent us from developing the technology necessary to detect them. By limiting our advancement, they could ensure that we never discover the truth about our reality. Of course, this is just one of many theories out there trying to explain the Fermi paradox, but it's an interesting one, nonetheless, especially when you consider the possibility that we're living in a simulation. If that's true, then the Great Filter could be a real phenomenon that's preventing us from advancing beyond our current level of development, or it could be a deliberate attempt by our creators to keep us from discovering their presence. Either way, it is a fascinating idea that's worth considering as we continue to explore the vastness of space and search for life beyond Earth. Quantum mechanics is one of the most bizarre and fascinating fields in science. It is a realm where the rules of classical physics seem to be turned on their head, and where the smallest particles exhibit some truly mind-boggling properties. One of the most famous examples of this is the double-slit experiment, which demonstrates the wave-like behavior of subatomic particles. But it's not just the weird behavior of particles that makes quantum mechanics so intriguing. The very foundations of the theory also challenge our understanding of reality. One of the key concepts in quantum mechanics is that of wave collapse. According to this idea, when we observe a quantum system, its wave function, which describes the probabilities of different outcomes, suddenly collapses to a single outcome. In other words, the very act of observation causes a change in the behavior of subatomic particles. This idea has been the source of much debate and controversy, with some physicists arguing that it is a real physical phenomenon, and others suggesting that it is simply a reflection of our own inability to predict the behavior of quantum systems. Now, while the debate over wave collapse continues, there's another aspect of quantum mechanics that's often overlooked: the observer effect. This is the idea that the very act of measuring a quantum system inevitably affects that system in some way. In other words, the observer is not a passive recipient of information, but an active participant in the process of creating reality. This idea has profound implications for our understanding of the universe. If the observer effect is real, then the idea that we can ever truly know objective reality is called into question. Instead, our experience of reality is shaped by our own observations and measurements. This idea is closely related to the simulation hypothesis in that it suggests that our experience of reality is not necessarily the same as objective reality. If we're living in a simulation, then the programmers could be manipulating our observations in order to control our experience of reality. In other words, we could be living in a world where things are not as they seem, and where the reality we experience is not the same as the underlying simulated reality. Ultimately, the observer effect is one of the many pieces of evidence that suggests we may be living in a simulation. However, it is important to note that the observer effect is a well-established and widely accepted part of quantum mechanics. In contrast, the simulation hypothesis remains a controversial and speculative idea. Nevertheless, as our understanding of the universe continues to evolve, who knows what new discoveries may shed light on the nature of reality. But here's the kicker. These glitches aren't random occurrences. They happen for a reason that someone or something up there is watching us. You heard that right. We're not alone. There's someone else out there looking at us. But who is it? Is it God? Maybe it's aliens. Or could it be something else entirely? Let's take a step back and look at all of this objectively. We know that we're not alone in the universe, because if we were, the chances of this all happening by accident would be astronomically small. No, there's something out there. Something that brought us into existence and set this whole thing into motion. But why? Why did they do this? Well, let's think about it. What's the most complex thing in the universe? It's us, humans. We're capable of things that no other species ever has been. And it's because of this complexity that we have the ability to ask questions like this. Who put us here? What's the purpose of all this? Why do we have free will? Well, according to some, free will is what separates us from machines. And if we don't have free will, then we're just puppets dancing to the tune of our creators. But here's where things get really interesting. What if we're not just puppets? What if we're more like characters in a video game? Characters that have been given free will in order to make the game more realistic and immersive. But unlike in a video game, where the characters can be reset or reloaded, if they make a mistake, we only get one shot at this, one life to live. So what if our creators are up there watching us right now, observing how we play the game they created? What if they're waiting to see if we'll figure out that we're in a simulation? Think about it. If we're in a simulation, then it would be pointless for our creators to monitor us constantly. They would want us to be as free as possible to make our own decisions and shape our own destiny. That's the only way to create a truly realistic simulation. So what if the simulation starts to glitch? What if Mandela effects and other strange phenomena are signs that our creators are up there somewhere, watching us? What do you think? Is there something out there watching us? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.